Hi everyone, thanks for listening today. This is James from youbloom. I have Phil with us, who is also from youbloom, and we have two guests today, Marcelo from the band Loss and Barry from Making. Um,
Oh,
Guys, would you like to introduce yourself, just to tell us a little bit about who you are and what your bands do and where you're from? We can start with you, Marcelo, if you like.
Okay. So I'm Marcelo. I'm from Brazil. I'm from Lost Band. It's very nice to be part of youbloom again. I was in three editions of youbloom with my old band, and with Lost Band is the first time. It's great to be here. Hello, guys.
Great. And Barry, what about you?
yeah, my name's Barry. I'm the guitar player in a band called Makings. Um, we're a six-piece band from Ireland who kind of blend rock, rap, and electro kind of music together, And I'm happy to be on the call here,
Glad to have you.
Yeah.
And then the fourth person we have is Phil. Phil, for anyone who doesn't know who's listening, would you like to introduce yourself and just let people know what exactly it is you do for youbloom and what youbloom really is?
Great. So I'm founder, CEO of youbloom, and youbloom's mission is to make live music more accessible for everybody. We got started 10 years ago with a song contest, and then we morphed in 2013 into a showcase festival and conference, youbloom Dublin. And then in 2014, we started youbloom LA. We've been doing them since then, except for this year with the virus. But we started working a few years ago on something that would help artists to get more reach, more shows further away from home and tours in other cities with local promoters running the shows using a youbloom show management system. Included in that system as well, there's the ability for fans to request artists, and the local promoters, who are called city reps, they have a dashboard where they can see the interest of those fans, the requests of those fans that have been registered. In effect, the fans are crowdsourcing the artist to come and play for them. In addition to that, one of the other drivers of requests is where the artists are matched. They receive matches just like on a dating site, and if they both accept a match, then instead of going to dinner or whatever else, they go marketing. They go co-marketing with each other, which is really like getting to know each other and getting to go into a relationship with each other, with the idea that then the system works and the city reps work to get those artists performing together down the road. Gets them more requests just so they get more shows and reach in their own right, but it also does work to get the artists performing. So I'm really looking forward to where Loss and Makings, where the follow on from the co-marketing is that they actually get to perform together in Dublin, in Belo Horizonte, or in other cities. And I hope actually in 2021 we will see them on tour together in our virtual tours that we're launching in January.
Great. We might actually come back to the virtual tour thing and talk about that in a little bit. But firstly, Barry, did you want to tell us a little bit about how the cross promotion was for you guys and how did you find that?
Yeah, I found it very interesting to work with another band, because whenever you're in a band, there seems to be there's a lot of you're always talking a lot about yourself. Like, look at our song, look at this, our new music video, which is great, But everyone said, but I think it was a little bit refreshing, for once to see, hey, look at this cool band from Brazil called Loss, and introduce them to people, to our fans and people in our country. And I find that it was getting some traction. People were responding, and so whenever the time comes, like Phil said there, that if we do a tour together, people will know some of Loss's songs,
Hmm.
and when they come here, and they'll be expecting, they'll come to a warm audience, rather than being someone, So yeah, I think it's a great idea, and it probably works the same in reverse as well.
Mm-hmm.
For Making's been exposed to a new market in Brazil,
Yeah,
and I seen some comments on Loss's page where people were talking about Makings, which is really cool, because we wouldn't really get that otherwise,
right.
So yeah, I thought it was a great thing to do for any band for exposure,
Definitely. And I think it breaks down not just the sort of the international barrier of different music scenes, but it also, you guys are different genres as well to some extent. So it's kind of cool that you're introducing people who listen to slightly different music to your style of music. So yeah, so Marcelo, how did you find the promotion side of things, across promotion?
Yes, I'm Barry's right. I think the Comax is a great idea in this crazy year. This pandemic, we could not go to the road and play. We cannot be at the stage, so we have to find another way. And I think the Comax, it's a great way to keep things alive, and the bands keep working, and we can know another bands. I think one of the great, the better thing of festivals is the opportunity of to know new bands, like you said, James, with different styles. I think this is great at the festivals. We play some kind of music, but with no another band with a very different style, and that's great. Like Makins, I love the song of Makins. It's very different for Laws, but it sounds very good for me, and that's amazing. The opportunity of to know another bands, and be our song, see our songs in the other countries. We could not stay, so Makins did our market at Ireland and the other places, and that's amazing. I think that Comarketing, it's a good idea. youbloom Connected is that's a good way to do things happens in this year with the
Hmm.
vibe.
Definitely. I can definitely see the benefits to that. So what you mentioned before was this year with COVID and how the music scene has been affected. So maybe we should talk about that. I know that for many artists out there, this year has both been a blessing and a curse. It's been a curse in that live shows have been very badly damaged in the traditional sense, but it's been a blessing in some ways that it's opened new avenues for artists to actually perform online shows and reach new audiences they could never reach before. And I
Yeah,
think that there's a framework being set up now, and youbloom's going to be a big part of that, to actually reach audiences around the world and change the culture of live performances from solely being in person to also being online. Phil, we might jump back to that topic you mentioned before of the online tours and online shows that we are looking at putting forward with youbloom. Did you want to touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, maybe the first thing there to share is that in the artist matching and partnering and the requesting as well, um, like the insight that I got, or like where that came from, was that if you look at the major labels and the work that they do, like they pick a tiny number, out of the total artists, like it's a tiny, tiny number, but they do an incredible job in the way that they produce them and market them, and their live shows and so on, and they've turned that into a really big business for them and for those artists. So the the things that we're doing in youbloom are trying to emulate that kind of sophistication when it comes to marketing. So like the majors are working with a tiny number of artists, but if you think about it, if an artist co-markets for every month for 5 years, they build up relationships with 60 artists from all over the world, or whatever they pick in the world, and that's a huge amount of exposure in relationships. So that was the insight that I had, was that if the emerging and independent artists who have the numbers can play to that strength, the strength of having those numbers, and they can come together in effect with things like the co-marketing and working together, and then there's a way to collect the result of that in like collecting the requests and other ways of collecting it. That the power of that to move, what is basically to me, independent music is like at various stages of of survival. Where it really only the top 10% maybe, or 15% of those million bands that are gigging all the time are actually able to make a decent living out of it, to be sustainable. So that's maybe just to share. That's the thinking of where, that's the thinking behind what's coming out now. It took quite a few years to get to where it's coming out, but that's the thinking behind it.
I think that's definitely all true. And something else that people may not realize is what I find, at least, is that some people are going to be more receptive to having a band recommended to them from another band than a record label, because it seems a little bit less agenda driven. Maybe if an artist says, "Hey, these guys are cool, maybe check them out, we like them," type thing, then a company is trying to make a profit saying, "You should listen to this." That's just my take on it, though. But yeah, on from that topic, the other topic you were going to mention, Phil, was the online shows and online festivals that were going to be coming out in the near future.
Yeah, so as part of the kind of ecosystem of youbloom, not only is there the partnering and the requesting and so on, but there's also, where the shows are managed, in effect, they're branded and managed, and they can co-branded as well with the city reps by youbloom. The whole idea there is that now, people can trust when they see youbloom, they go, "Oh, we know it's going to be amazing music, and we know it's going to be, a really good experience." So that's where that comes in. So how we're beginning that in the pandemic, we always did have planned to have online shows as ways in which artists could get exposed to audiences without having to travel there, and build up those requests, and then over time get to where they could come and play live in that location. But because of the pandemic, it's pushed all that much faster forward. So in January, we will start our youbloom Virtual World Tours 2021. We're starting off with 7 cities. We have Dublin, Leeds, we have Coventry, we have Lagos in Nigeria, we have Calgary, we've got Ottawa, and we'll be adding, cities as we go along through 2021. And we're starting off with three offering artists to apply for 3 city tours. And those shows will actually be put together by the city rep. They will look at the applications, and then through working with each other, they will figure out who they're inviting to go in the January tours and monthly tours after that.
Great. And I know that I saw the other day, I think it was Lost, you guys posted something on your Facebook page the other day, starting to get fans to request you to tour. Have you got much of a response from that?
Yeah, response from our fans, our audience. Is that, James?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Yeah. I think our fans are curious about youbloom. The most part of our fans know I was part of youbloom in the last years with the Concreto band, and they are always asking for how it's work now, and I'm saying we are building a new way to do it. youbloom Connect, it's a new idea. Who the goals is make the bands keep showing our music to the world, to other bands, like the original idea of youbloom, but now online because of pandemic. So I think that the response of the audience is good. The people are interested and they are asking and comment about that. That's great. I think it's working. It's my opinion.
That's good to hear. And Barry, I remember speaking to you last time we talked. You said that Makings has actually done an online festival before. What was your experience with that?
Yeah, it went down really well. It was really kind of well set up, because it was done by another company, called Damaris Entertainment, and so we had to. So it was like going to any other festival. The stage was all set up. We got onto the stage with the guitars and stuff, and we played in front of the cameras. We didn't have all the crowd roaring at us and stuff, but we had the crew there, and it was streamed out live on YouTube. It was streamed live on Facebook and live on Twitch, I think. And yeah, we got a very good reaction from that, and it was just good to play live again, even if it wasn't like in front of like lots of people, but just to play in front of the cameras and to feel like I'm playing a gig,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, really enjoyed it, And but yeah, a lot of our time during the pandemic has been focused on actually curating, kind of making music videos and creating more songs and being in the studio. So yeah, live streaming is something we want to do more of, and youbloom is providing a really good platform for this, with the with what Phil is talking about with these virtual tours and stuff, and I think it's something that may even work even after the pandemic. It's something that there will still be a hunger for, I think, in fans. They want to see these live streams, So
I
yeah,
think you're right there. I think there's going to be a market for it after the pandemic ends because there's a lot of bands that can't afford to tour internationally. It's really expensive. It's very complicated. I mean, you guys know that. I don't have to tell you that. And I think that the ability for bands to still do live performances for audiences in other countries, there's always going to be a demand for that, especially for smaller independent artists who can't afford a big tour.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure, and yeah, and you get lots of people that can't travel to gigs as well, and people like people who are living like in rural areas and stuff, So you get you can actually sometimes you can reach a wider audience with live streaming, than you can from actual physical gigging. Sometimes,
Definitely.
But yeah, but you still can't. Yeah, but the buzz of, as long as you can get that buzz of playing live, it's something that all musicians love and bands just love to do, if it's live streamed or in a venue,
I agree, and I think that one of the key things is to make this an experience that people actually want to participate in as a fan is to personalize it and to make sure it actually feels like a real live experience, not just, oh, here's a band that played a set, they slapped a video in and sent it to us and we paid a cover charge. And I know for a fact, 'cause I've been working on this with Phil, we're working to try and make youbloom's experience as tailored and personal as possible. Isn't that right, Phil?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, that's, traditionally emerging and certainly, smaller independent bands, often the experience, like where they play and the experience is not great. It can often be really another agenda, like selling food or selling alcohol or whatever. So that's very central. That's like part of, the whole idea is that we, build up people's confidence that they trust. Oh, if they see youbloom, they know it's going to be amazing music and it's going to be like a really great experience in terms of the environment. That it's going to be, people can really hear the music and enjoy it and so on. So that's very central. That's a very central piece of the puzzle that has been missing it's like emerging and in smaller independent music shows. The music sometimes can be fantastic, and sometimes it's hit or miss. So it's getting that consistently good, and then also as well getting the experience really good. So people can trust that they see youbloom, they go, oh, we know it's going to be a fantastic show. The music's going to be amazing. That we're going with our friends to see it.
Exactly, and I think it might be a draw card for some people as well that it's not going to be as an expensive experience because there's no cost of the venue, there's no cost of the band to travel there. You don't have to pay for that stuff, so we can afford to actually give people cheaper tickets to the shows, which I think will be something that some people are very drawn to.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't know. A lot of people maybe who go to big shows, they're not so tuned into smaller shows, which really I prefer any day over the big shows. Like I've been at shows where you see, somebody on a big screen half a mile away on the other end of a football pitch, and it's like, what are we doing here? Whereas if you go, where you go, like I'll tell you that where, there's the Folk Alliance International, they have a big festival every year. It used to be every year in Kansas City, Missouri, in the U.S. I was at it as a speaker a few years ago, and there, besides the showcases downstairs, where and it, of course, it's all folk music or types of folk music, but 3 floors of the hotel are taken over by artists where they either take the beds out of the rooms or they put them up on their sides, and you go in there and the artists are playing where it's just literally 10 chairs there's somewhere where the artist can be at the front, at the window, you might say, and then coming back from that, then you have the people sitting, and they have maybe some cheese and wine or something like that for people. And I just was so thrilled to have that experience of like just being able to go from room to room. It went on till 4 a.m. every night, for 5 nights, and that was, it's like a religious experience, that I was having in every room, being able to experience the music, so intimately. So I think that there's a huge untapped, unserved market for people to enjoy, to have that experience, as well as going to see the big pop acts or whatever, the big rock acts and all that kind of stuff, which really are the function of a kind of a type of industry, which hats off to them, but it's a tiny number of artists compared to the totality of all the amazing music that's out there, all the amazing voices that are out there.
Definitely. I have a similar sort of feeling about that because most of my favorite music experiences throughout my life have been in smaller, intimate venues, like you stated, with, you have a bar upstairs and you go downstairs and it's like a basement venue type thing. And you can only fit maybe 50 people in there max, and you meet the band afterwards and have a drink with them type thing. So for me, most of my best music experience has been those smaller, more intimate shows, not the big festival ones and not the big stadium shows, although they are amazing, but I don't think you remember them as much down the track when you think back on those musical experiences.
Yeah, and
Um,
also like the affordability of those small shows, are very affordable. Whereas the big shows, certainly in somewhere like LA, where I live these days, you're talking about like the minimum to go to those sorts of shows is $150, and it goes up to 250, 300, and $400 for the
right.
best seats or the best spots in the room. So yeah, I mean it's a really quality experience for people where it's affordable for people to go, quite frequently.
And I mean, it's different in each country. Obviously, the US is very lucky in the sense that their music scene is a lot more affordable on average because they have so many cities that bands can travel to without traveling a large distance, that a tour is much more economical in places like Australia, where I spent most of my life, where a band has to fly all the way there and then travel city to city, which is astronomically expensive. You have to fly, and there's only a few major cities to hit type thing. So I think this online touring thing will be really great in that sense as well. That it'll be so economical for bands to actually reach audiences instead of having to pay those fees to travel and make tours affordable. Yeah, that's
Oh
my
yeah,
take
I
on it.
agree. Yeah, I agree because it can cost a if a band wants to go on tour, it can cost a fortune, and they can usually you end up broke at the end of it a lot of the time, unless you're at the time you pay for your flights, your travel expenses, your hotels, and so yeah, this is I think what's happening here with youbloom is a way to kind of do this and cut them expenses, and and reach the audience at the same time, So yeah, I, I agree there with that, Like, regarding the the expense of touring and for bands,
Yeah,
Yeah,
and again, that applies to that expense for the bands is carried over onto the audience as well. So it's kind of a win-win on
Yeah,
both sides for that one.
yeah, yeah, true.
Phil, did you have anything else you Bloom wise you wanted to discuss before I asked the band a couple of questions about their music?
No, fire away. Thanks so much, James.
No problem. I just wanted to ask both of you guys some questions about your bands. Did you want to tell us maybe who your key inspirations are music wise? Like who inspired your sound and your style the most?
Okay, for me, uh, but because Makins, like there's 6 of us, every person in Makins will have a different story for you,
yeah.
and who inspired them and stuff, But for me, growing up, I got into the guitar, and I was always into blues music and rock. But it was when I went to my very first concert to see Oasis play when I was about 16 years old, and I think they made it so accessible. I was looking at the stage and I thought, like, if they can do that, just bang out a few chords, write a few tunes, sky's the limit, So that kind of set me on my track to learn the guitar, and over the years, my influences would change from year, throughout my life, you know. Like I get very into electronic stuff at some points as well, but it's rooted. My first love is always like kind of good old fashioned songs, rock and blues and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
And but I love dabbling in electronics as well, and synthesizers and futuristic type music, looking for new sounds and things like that. I just love hearing new music, a lot of fresh. I always listen to stations that play kind of fresh music from up and coming or unsigned artists.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that if that may answer you. Yeah, so I have a lot of influences, and every band from every member of Makins will probably have a different story,
Mm-hmm.
which makes us sound the way we sound, I suppose,
Yeah, it's awesome that you guys have so many different influences for each of your members, and I think that's why you guys have such a unique sound.
Yeah.
And Marcelo, who do you think influenced you at least in your band or your band's sound overall?
Yeah, like I said, Barry, we had a lot of different influences at the band. I can say for me, I'm a very eclectic guy. I like all kind of music, but definitely I prefer rock. And my great inspiration in my life are the rockers. And in Brazil, we had the first Rock in Rio, a big festival in 1985 or 6, I don't know. I was just a kid. I'm an old guy, like you can say, you can see. And this Rock in Rio came to the first time to Brazil. Bands like Iron Maiden, Ozzy Osbourne, AC/DC, Queen, and that festival changed my life. I look at that at TV, and I think, oh my God, I have to do it. I was a boy with 10 or 11 years old, and
Mm-hmm.
these guys were my great inspiration to be a musician. I used to play my acoustic guitar, but uh, this festival was a mark at my life, and then I find my way, you know. That's it. I love the classics, of course, Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin, and I think these are the most important influences of Lost Band from all the guys. But each one have your preference. You know, I love the classics, but I love to find and discover new songs, new bands. I'm very open with that, and that's it. I'm a guy who loves the classics, but I'm open to find uh, new stuffs.
That's awesome, and I actually share a lot of the same music taste as you then, because I've seen Black Sabbath twice. I've also seen Iron Maiden, and they're absolutely amazing live still to this day. So I share those same feelings with you about how much they changed my life as well.
Yeah.
And I guess I wanted to ask you guys as well, how did your bands form? Like, how did you meet your bandmates, and how did you come to be the bands that you are?
Barry.
Okay, yeah, yeah. I suppose what we're going. I suppose it could be traced back to that. Myself and Rick met at a party, actually. You know, about 8 years ago, and we both had our own kind of separate musical journeys. You know, at that time, I was kind of a singer songwriter with a guitar. I released a song called "The Where the River Flows" near at that time, which he heard, and I showed him the music video for it. You know, and then. Yeah, and Rick was kind of writing and recording in his own studio, and he invited me to his studio, you know, for a jam, you know. And then we ended up going there for about 6 months, you know. Just after that, we were there nearly every weekend, writing and recording. And then very soon after that, we got a drummer involved, Paddy Reynolds. He's from the same hometown as me in Donegal, you know, and then then there were two or three, and then we went through a few bass players, until we came across Raul. Raul is from Argentina, so he brings that to the band, and then we were a 4-piece for another probably a year or two. And then we had Juliana and Chiron join the band, you know, and then we were a 6-piece. So it just kind of happened over in stages, you know. So the current format has been like this for maybe it's probably close to 2 years now, a year and a half, 2 years. We've been a 6-piece band, you know, and every time we had a new person join the band, they added something to it, you know. They added the sound. They added something really cool to the band, you know, to the band sound, you know.
Right.
So that's the short kind of story, you know. Hopefully.
Well, thank you. And Marcelo, what about Loss?
Yes, like I said, Loss is a new band. I had a band for 20 or 23 years called Concreto. With this band, I was in 3 editions of youbloom. I released 6 albums, 2 DVDs, and things like that. A long history of rock in the underground. And then this band finished this year before the pandemic. We don't know about that yet, and we decided to put an end on the band. And 2 months later, I decided to create a new band, and I met Edu Megali. Edu Megali, it's a young guitarist, a very virtuous guitarist. And we create a band like a three guys band, just guitar, bass, and drum. The drummer is Teddy. He played with me for 15 years in Concreto, and that's it.
Okay.
Loza is just starting a road and a history now. We just released our first album, a EP with 4 songs 2 months ago, and we have plans to release a full album the next year. and that's it. Waiting for the end of these crazy things to go to the road and play live, and that's it.
Great. And that was, you actually kind of answered my next question, which was going to be about your music and which albums you put out recently and what's coming up. So my other question for you, Marcelo, then is if people want to listen to Loss's music, where's a good place to find it to listen to?
And sorry, James, can you repeat, please?
Sure. Where can people go to listen to Loss's music? So are you on Spotify or YouTube, or what's the best place to
Yeah,
find the
yes,
music?
got it. Yes, you can find Lost Band at lostband.com. There you can find links for Spotify and our channel at youbloom and social network, Instagram and Facebook. We are in all the digital platforms and Deezer, Amazon, Apple Store. That's it. You can find for lostband.com. You can
Great.
find our first EP. It's called Let's Go. It's
Great.
there.
And Barry, for makings, what's your most recent album? Do you have anything in the works?
Yeah, we do. We actually we're releasing a lot of singles these days, you know. But so we have actually a single released. It was supposed to be out today, but I don't see it on Spotify yet, so it'll keep it out tomorrow, you know.
Okay.
So we have a single called Punk Girls out this week. You can check it out. And if you want to find Makings, we also have our website is makingsmusic.com. And all our for our socials, Makings Official is our handles for most of our socials. Makings Official on Twitter, on Facebook, and Instagram, and Spotify as well. You can just type in Makings, you'll find us in Spotify. But yeah, we have one full album released. We have 2 EPs on Spotify, and we released 10 singles this year already. During the pandemic this year, since March, I think.
Wow.
And we've got another single, which I'm very excited about coming out this week, because I really love playing this song live, like, you know, Punk Girls. It's something I really enjoy, and I hope everybody else enjoys it, you know. I'm sure they will. It's a cracker, you know.
Great. Can't wait to hear it.
Yeah, you know.
Awesome. And I just have one more question for you guys. This is kind of just a fun one. It might not be the easiest question to answer, but if you could tour with any band, alive or dead, who would that be?
Yeah. Well,
it's always a hard one.
It's difficult. Well, we can talk about Beatles. I will choose Black Sabbath. I think Black Sabbath is our great inspiration. That's the band that when we hear Black Sabbath, we say that's the sound. Of course, Lost, we have modern influences, and we try not to stay hold in this kind of song and at the classics. But I think Black Sabbath, that's the band we love to play together with the guys. This is our great influence.
And when you say Black Sabbath, I just have to clarify, do you mean the original lineup with Ozzy, or do you mean with one of the other vocalists like Dio?
Sorry, James?
Oh, do you mean the original Black Sabbath lineup with Ozzy Osbourne, or do you mean one of the later ones with...
I like a Black Sabbath fan. I love all the Black Sabbath with Dio. We had the opportunity to play with Vinny Appice, the drummer of some period of Black Sabbath. The guy was in Brazil for 2 times, and my band was the band who supported Vinny Appice here, and we play with him Mob Rules, the classic album of Black Sabbath. Full album, and the guy records 4 songs with my band. The last EP from Concreto had Vinny Appice at the drums. So I loved this period of Black Sabbath with Dio and Vinny Appice, but of course Ozzy and Beware are are the guys for me. All the Black Sabbaths are amazing. We are a great fan.
I agree.
Can you see that?
Definitely.
Yeah.
And Barry, what about you? Do you have anyone in mind?
Oh, just when you were talking there, I was loads of bands were running through my mind, and I was thinking of this and that, and I was actually thinking of a lot of the electronic bands, like LCD Sound System, Convention Ward. I'd love to jam with. But then I went back in real time then, and I said, who I really love to play with is James Brown.
Oh yeah, awesome.
I'm a huge James Brown fan, and James Brown in his prime, was unbeatable, and
I love James Brown as well. The Payback is such a great album.
Yeah,
Well, James Brown there. Now
yeah,
you said, yeah, that's the guy.
And then,
James is amazing.
Yeah. I just to have a beer with the guy afterwards as well, and it would be great,
That'd be great. Good choice. And Phil, I'm going to put you on the spot as well. And do you have an answer for if you could play with any artist, who would that be?
Well, if I could keep up with him, I'd play with James Brown. What energy that guy had! And I'd be keeping an eye on myself, having the beer with him afterwards as well. But yeah, I love that funk stuff. When I was 18, I went to work in New York for the summer, and on a boat line, sightseeing line that went around Manhattan, and my captain on my boat brought me to these these 70 funk clubs in New York, where we were the only two white guys in the place, and the funk music was so incredible. Like I became infected with it, terminally infected with funk music, and these knees were hitting the ceiling. There was so much energy in that music. It was incredible. So yeah, when I hear James Brown, just incredible, incredible to listen to. And I like the guys were saying, I like all sorts of music, from actually rock was something that I kind of came to later, because I would connect with funk and R&B and that sort of stuff more off recorded music, that less well than I would rock. I found it was really when I got to hear live music rock, and particularly doing youbloom Dublin, youbloom LA, that I really connected with it. I hadn't connected with rock so strongly. It seems to me it's more of a live thing. I did with bands like Nirvana, I stuff like that I did, but I found that it was really the live experience where I understood what people, why people really loved rock music so much. I one of the bands that I was really amazed by was seeing the Boomtown Rats, playing. I hadn't seen them when they were originally around in the 70s, but I've been at a bunch of their shows since they reformed, 6 years ago, and went to one in the Ulster Hall in Belfast in 2013, and I was just blown away by the sound and the experience of the music. So, but I love everything, as I was saying, from folk music to to rock to funk, to rap, all kinds of hip hop and so on. Anything that moves my heart, I'm and I'm already there. I'm since I was a little kid, I was just music mad.
Yeah,
that's awesome. And I just wanted to say thank you to all of you for coming on to have the discussion today. It's been really good talking with you guys. And just before we wrap everything up, I just wanted to see, did anyone have anything they'd like to say, just to the audience that's listening now before we wrap up the show today?
Rock on.
Yeah,
fantastic. Okay, well, in that case,
yeah.
Oh, sorry, didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, okay.
I was gonna say,
that's it.
Yeah,
let's go, and I hope all this stuffs and the pandemic get an end as soon as possible, and we can find our fans on the road and go to states and play and do tour. That's it. But I think until that's not possible, let's keep rocking, online rock. That's it. Keep rocking.
Fantastic. I just wanted to say then to anyone listening, if you have bands that you support that you'd like to see more live, make sure to jump on youbloom.com and sign up as a fan, and get those bands to sign up and register as artists as well. And then you can do your part to actually get those bands touring virtually online. So if you want to support music, if you want to support artists, definitely just take a few minutes of your time and get that done. I think that's about it from us. Unless you have anything to add, Phil?
No, thank you so much, James, and thanks so much, Barry and Marcelo, to Los and Makings for participating in the matching and co-marketing. It was really exciting for me when we got on the WhatsApp call, and I felt like I was, doing a matching, almost like a romantic matching. I was so excited myself because I had dreamt about doing this for so long, and I really believe that there's a huge opportunity in artists, co-marketing and partnering more and more around the world with each other.
Yeah,
fantastic. Everyone who's been on today, thank you for coming on, and everyone who's listening, thanks for joining us and taking some time to listen. Hopefully we'll have another one of these up in the future with some other artists that have done some matching, and we can discuss more of the online show details as things unfold. Thanks everyone, and have a good day.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.
Right, that's it.
Bye.